Hello there, and welcome to our program. Welcome to Africa Online Media Corporation. It is always a pleasure to be with you. How are you feeling on this Sunday, the 21st day of August? Hope you are doing and feeling fine. Whatever it is, welcome back to the program, your favorite Sunday afternoon program in which we discuss issues from left and right pertinent to people who have concerns like we have. Our goal, raising awareness, seeking solutions, and making sure that we move forward proudly as people from the continent of Africa, descendants of Africans, and so on and so forth. We are one, and we live as one. So it is Sunday, the 21st day of August, as we already said. It is 132 days already into, what am I saying? 232 days. I get my figures mixed up sometimes because this show is unscripted. I'm also unscripted, all the same. Let's go. So it is the 233rd day of the year, 2022. So we have just 132 days left in this year. If you're doing some math and calculating for something towards the end of the year, yeah, you are not wrong, you are right. In the United States, for example, they have less than 90 days for their next general elections, which are on the 8th of November. Whatever it is, we don't do politics here. We all do what we can to make sure that we are who we are. We have lived 62 days of hot and rain, of heat and rain, because as I was saying to a friend this morning, we have had a lot of rain, we have had a lot of sunshine in these United States, depending on the part of the country in which you are. It is summer, yes, it is summer. That is the season we get a lot of heat or a lot of rain. We have therefore just 32 days left before fall. On this August 21st, we are invited to remember and to observe International Day of Remembrance and Tribute to the victims of terrorism and senior citizens. Well, there are two different days, that is, I join all in one sentence. So International Day of Remembrance and Tribute to the victims of terrorism, and the day to remember and to honor and to celebrate senior citizens. It is Senior Citizens Day. International Day of Remembrance and Tribute to the world and tribute to terrorism is a day of observance sponsored by the United Nations. The day honors all victims of terrorism and emphasizes that these victims should have more attention paid to them because they deserve to be here. The United Nations therefore states that victims of terrorism are often forgotten or not heard by the community. The organization, therefore, that is the United Nations, therefore aims to increase action and awareness towards addressing the needs of these victims. The other day we are celebrating and honoring today is Senior Citizens Day. And on this day, in this part of the world and internationally actually, it is aimed to honor and support elders. Anybody older than, do we say 70? Yeah, 70 is still young. So anybody older than 80, yeah, I think that's more appropriate. The United Nations itself did not put a date on that, but we know when senior citizens are senior citizens. We cannot ignore the fact that senior citizens play an important role in our society as they help us understand the past while teaching us life lessons for the future. We should therefore remember that seniors are valued for their achievements, their knowledge, and their contributions to society. In sync with honoring and celebrating seniors, therefore, we should be ready as collective citizens of the world to make an extra effort to respect one another for their social and physical existence. We should cultivate a culture and a habit to see and respect each other, male or female, and to not do anything to make them feel bad at their own time and in their own way. And that is probably what inspired Africaonline Media Corporation to come up with the topic we are going to tackle this afternoon: sexual harassment and bullying. See it, ignore it, talk or whisper about it, or whatever else, society lets us know that sexual harassment is, quote, unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. That was a quote. Sexual harassment is conduct that, quote, explicitly or implicitly affects an individual's employment, end of quote. Or, on the other hand, it could be something that makes you, just simply speaking, uncomfortable. Sexual harassment intimidates and makes one party or other feel demeaned and or used for the benefit of another, and usually goes with a desire to get something for something, as in quid pro quo. It is condemnable and punishable, yet it is very prevalent in society today, luring political figures and people of faith alike and bringing shame to both, even when legal action seeks to make the practice unpalatable. Our topic, therefore, on this second Sunday, as we already said, is double-faced, because there is sexual harassment on one face and bullying on the other. They go like hand in hand, because the bully tends to become a sexual harasser. A sexual harasser sometimes becomes a bully because they want you to do their will. With that in mind, we must remember that, quote, when people hurt you over and over, think of them like sandpaper. They may scratch and hurt you a bit, but in the end, you end up polished and they end up useless, because once they've scratched and scratched, they wear off and they fall off. So when we talk about bullying, what are we really saying? So who is bullying, or who is a bully? Whatever it is, no matter the form it takes, listen to Max Ehrmann as he cautions in Desiderata when he says, avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit, indeed. Their best way is to go about shouting you down, shouting you out, and trying to intimidate you as best as they can. So please, whatever it is, whether being bullied or being sexually harassed, take your stand firm, and go for the right thing. Bullying, according to the United States government, is harassment, it is intimidation, and means intentional conduct, including verbal, physical, or written conduct, or an intentional electronic communication that creates a hostile and educational environment by substantially interfering with a student's educational benefits. It is that thing that pretends to know everything yet knows nothing. So on another count, many experts see bullying as a form of aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly causes another person injury or discomfort. In that line of thinking, bullying takes the form of physical contact, words, or other subtle actions that tend to make the other person feel diminished. Whatever it is, as I said, forget about it. Take your courage in both hands and face the bully, because when all is said and done, the bully is like that balloon, filled with air and blown up. But once you pinch it with a needle, it goes and flat. So the bully is just somebody with a big ego. Shout out that big ego, shout down that big ego, and be yourself and be who you are. And let us go into the discussion this Sunday. Reverend Palm, I know you always welcome us to the discussion. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ni Asong. And of course, you were painfully missed last Sunday. And when I say painful, I mean painfully. This show is not the same without you. And same thing, we have been missing Ambassador Lisa for the 3rd week now. She needed she was preoccupied, the first 3 Sundays of this month. She should be back next Sunday. And I see our beautiful sister, Dr. Tamata, zooming in from, well, I won't say where she's from abroad. And her audio is still connecting. Verona, thank you for your faithfulness. Sister Deborah, thank you for your faithfulness. Sister Ruth is not able to make it today, but this topic, we have treated this topic in the past as 2 separate topics, but this year we decided to do them together. And listening to Nia Song's editorial, they are intertwined, they are linked, they are inseparable. Even though not all bullying involves sexual harassment, I would dare to say any form of sexual harassment is a form of bullying. Am I correct, Niaso?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But we have to do our best to keep the line between them, even though they're faces of the same coin. We can flip one side and talk about it and flip the other side and talk about it, but we can always talk about them together. Awesome,
thank you. And on behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, I want to welcome all our viewers and all of our team members here. And Dr. Mata, you are welcome. Again, I just sent you this link just less than 2 minutes ago. So thank you so much. I knew this topic would really touch your heart. We are waiting for our main speaker. I hope all is well with him. It's unlike him not to be on time, but hopefully he will join us later. That's Dr. Nicholas Santos, who is actually, reminded us about this topic. So I also, on behalf of the organization and myself, I also want to do a shout out to all our senior citizens. You say it was Senior Citizens Day?
It is. It is.
Yeah, are you guys pardon me?
Yeah, senior citizens.
I'm in a place where there's a lot of noise. So Nia Song, Dr. Tam Masha is here. I'll have to mute. If you can pose the first question.
Okay, if I can pose the first question, it will be on sexual harassment. So I see Sister Deborah, I see Brother Ronald, and our sister who is trying to zoom in so far. And the first question is, if we can go by definitions or by our own knowledge of what these two are. What is sexual harassment on one hand, and what is bullying on the other hand? Sister Deborah, why don't you start?
Hello.
Yes.
Sexual harassment is unwanted sexual advances, whether it's a kiss, a pat on the butt, a hug, it could be anything of those sorts. And it depends on the person as to how they define it and whether or not they're acceptable of it. Bullying, on the other hand, it can be the same thing as you said. But when I look at bullying, I look at it as someone who is taking advantage of someone's size, intellect, how they think and how they feel about themselves, and making them feel smaller and making themselves feel bigger.
Indeed. Thank you
neither
very
one
much.
is fun.
Yeah, keep going, keep going. Oh, okay, I'll go to Brother Ronald. So Brother Ronald, how do you see sexual harassment and or bullying?
Yes, I agree with Sister Deborah. Sexual harassment is unwanted advancements from another person imposed on another person, be it male or female. They've taken advantage of someone's innocence. They are using power, using sex as power to overcome a person. And I think it's wrong and that it shouldn't be done. Bullying, on the other hand, is physical abuse and mental abuse to browbeat or either to physically harm a person because they are seen to be weak or they can take advantage of them. Both of them, sexual harassment and bullying, is taking advantage of a person because they may see them as being weak.
Thank you for that. But one thing I want to remark before, as we continue, is the fact that sexual harassment is seen in some parts of the world as sexual harassment. But in other parts, it is taken for granted, maybe because people are innocent. But I know that in some parts of Africa, hugging, for example, which is also under sexual harassment, is seen more as a salutation. You salute somebody, you greet somebody, grab the person, hug the person without kissing anyway. And that part of it is seen as a greeting. But in other parts of the world, if you are not very careful, your attempt to hug somebody will be derided and you will be castigated for attempting to do that. I may not be right, I may be right, but Reverend Palm, I know you are not showing your face, but I know that you know something to say about, you have something to say about sexual harassment and bullying.
Yeah, yes, I'll wait in quickly, then I would like to hear from Dr. Tamasha, Tamata, rather.
Yeah,
I just called somebody else's name. There's
okay.
actually somebody with that name.
Yes.
You know, let me start by thanking God that I've never been a victim of either one of those. So I am so grateful to God. So I cannot sit here and say I know how it feels like, or you know what it is, you know. So I've never been a perpetrator or a victim of either one. However, in my opinion, you know, sexual harassment is unwanted, you know, sexual moves or advancements. There are people, you know, see, if you hug somebody or you touch somebody and they react negatively or they tell you they don't want it, you need to stop. The first time, this is my own understanding, okay? It's not a book definition. The first time you did it without knowing that they will not welcome it, I will not consider that sexual harassment. But once they tell you that it's unwanted and unwelcome, and you try it again, that's sexual harassment. That's my own take on it, okay? It's not a book definition, but that's my take on it. As far as bullying goes, I think it's a technique used by cowards, you know, to intimidate other people whom they think are weaker. I call them cowards because a lot of bullies really are cowards. They can't even stand on their own and they have low self-esteem. There is something missing in their life. They have a void. So to make themselves feel good or to feel important or to be noticed, they have to try to intimidate other people so that they could feel important. But to me, it only shows how small they are. Unfortunately, there are some sheep that follow bullies, you know, not knowing that the bullies actually need help, not knowing that the bullies are actually cowards. So if you're out there to our young people and you see anybody who's a bully, please don't join them because they have problems. And sometimes it's even mental problems. Don't join them. It is not cool to be a bully. It is cool to be kind. Let me mute because the dog is making noise. Please, let's hear from Dr. Tamata.
Yes. Dr. Martha, please unmute and join the conversation. Your thinking and your take on sexual harassment and bullying. Over to you. Are you unmuted? Not yet. Not yet. She's still not yet muted. I mean, unmuted. So, Sister Ruth, Sister Deborah, why don't we just continue talking about maybe bullying this time, more emphasis on bullying.
What happened to Sister? What happened to Dr. Ta?
She's not unmuted.
Dr. Ta, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I'll text her. Yeah. All right. You guys go ahead.
Okay, now she's unmuted. She has now unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, good evening, panelists. It's regrettable that I can't be on a video.
It's all right. We hear your voice.
Yeah, I would like to talk about this topic because it is something that we take for granted, especially in Cameroon and the other African countries.
Yes.
Just as Nielsen was saying, there are instances when you think that it is funny when a man tries to make approaches towards you or touch you inappropriately, because we think that the man can touch you anywhere, and even among couples. But that is sexual violence. any inappropriate behavior, like that touching someone, or even it does not have to do only with a woman. There are also women who look at men in a way that they want them, or sometimes they even touch them. That makes the men also feel uncomfortable. That is also sexual harassment. It is sexual. It is violence. Because we term it sexual violence because there's an ill intent behind that. You want to hurt someone. You are trying to do something that is displeasing to a person, and the intention behind is not positive. Bullying, even at home, we have our own children who bully each other because they try to intimidate their younger ones at home. I can remember when I was young, we used to play some of those games with our younger ones who report us to our parents. The intention is to intimidate, tyrannize, and even sometimes we threaten them. We threaten them even without speaking. Through actions, we threaten them. Those are other forms of bullying. It must not be verbal. Sometimes we do this is habitual living, and it is very cruel. Sometimes we go to the extent of insulting and even treating the younger ones, the weaker ones, making them look very vulnerable. I can remember when I was younger, there was a situation where I lived with my uncles and aunts, my younger uncles and aunts who were just a few years older than me, who would threaten me. One time they would tell me, "Oh, I ate an orange and swallowed the seed, and that is going to grow. And the only thing that can provide manure for that seed is the meat that they give me. It's the meat that my mother gives me, or the fish that they give me every day." So they were collecting my uncle was basically collecting my meat and fish because I was afraid that the fish should not. So you see, those are things that I sit now and look at how much of a bully he was.
Oh my
Until
God.
my parents had to discover that that's exactly what was happening. They never used to even tell us. They never used to insult you verbally. Just by looking at you, they could twist their face somehow and I'll weep the whole day. Because I know what they mean by that. He'll be telling me when he'll be bathing me, he's going to scrub my body with a stone or an iron sponge, and those type of things that are really intimidating. And just the intention is just to make the child feel very uncomfortable. So this issue of sexual harassment and bullying, they are really twin topics, as you have put. They're really twin topics. They go together. As Sister Pam said, some people don't look at bullying the way they look at sexual harassment because there's no sexual act in it. But if you look at it very critically, you realize that through sexual, there are some how do you make a pass, as we used to say, which is bullying towards a woman. We pull her, for example, with an intent to hurt her. Behind that there's bullying, and there's also the sexual violence in it. So that is really what I wanted to chip in, and it's a very good topic today. And these are really twin topics; they really go together.
Thank you, Dr. Mata. I just want to say something. All the myths that your uncles them took from you or stole from you did not inhibit your growth. You know, so you're not protein deficient. You turn out really, really good. So whatever
when I grew up, I told my uncle that all those things I'm going to do them on his daughter. But lo and behold, when the daughter is around, instead we are petting her and making sure he has a lone daughter, and he is not even alive anymore. So we are petting the child.
That is so crazy. The things that our people go through, you know, it is really crazy. I have a question for everybody. Back home, there are men that rape their wives, okay? Or force themselves on their wives. Some people don't know that there's marital rape. So would that be under fall under sexual harassment or bullying? Do they bully their wives to have sex with them, or is sexual? I mean, it may not be sexual harassment because they are married, or is it? So I want to hear from everybody, and I'm itchy to hear what Dr. Taha has to say, Taako has to say about this. But let's start with Brother Rana, Niasong, Sister Deborah, and Dr. Taha.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Taha, you will go last. You will go last.
Okay, okay.
So who is going first? Me?
Brother Rana.
Oh, Brother
Okay,
Rana.
I see rape being perpetrated by a husband to his wife as a form of bullying. Because as you say, they are married. But there are times when the wife may not want to engage in any sexual activity or may feel uncomfortable or unprepared at the time, and the husband forced himself on her. That's bullying. But I do think that in the United States, they have laws against that. I think they may have laws against that, against a husband forcing himself on his wife if she doesn't really want to do it. But then again, I could be wrong. But I see that as a form of bullying.
Okay, if we see bullying as intimidating somebody, then if you are doing that because you want to make sure that you have sex with the lady at that time, then you are bullying her. You are bullying her, and because you want something, quid pro quo. I want this for that. You don't do it, I'll do that to you. So bullying results in forcing the lady to do what she did not intend to do at that time. So I will quickly say forcing the wife, married as they are, to have sex when she's not prepared is a form of bullying. So the men should learn to know that there's a time for everything, for happiness and for sadness, whatever it is. So let us be cautious about what we do and know that, as somebody mentioned, in the United, I think Brother Ronda mentioned, in the United States, there are laws that protect the woman against that. I know a typical African would say, yes, America is a land of laws and everything has a law for it. So whatever it is, let us just watch out what we do in our different environments. Yeah, I see Dr. Ta is on. She wanted to say something. I don't know.
Hello,
yeah.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, we are getting you. We wanted
Okay,
Deborah
I see it in a different light. I see it both as bullying and sexual harassment, because the intent is to intimidate, as you have said. And if you look at sexual harassment, any sexual activity or act that happens without consent, any unwanted sexual behavior that makes someone feel upset, scared, offended, or humiliated, if it is meant to make you feel that way, it is sexual harassment, thus sexual violence. So I see that the act of a man forcing on the wife to be both bullying and sexual harassment. Thank you.
I know that in some cultures, they say, well, you paid my bride price. I mean, I paid your bride price, therefore you are mine, and I can have what I want when I want.
Nonsense.
Sister Deborah, I want you to take your turn.
Unwanted behavior.
She's muted.
Oh, Sister Deborah, you're muted.
I think no matter how you look at it, it's not right. You have a right to say no, even to your husband. You may not be feeling well. You may have something going on where you just really you're not up to it. And I believe that a no should be respected, even in the marriage. And when it isn't, it's bullying, because it's saying you're going to do what I want you to do, whether you like it or not. So it's intimidation, bullying, and just not right.
Okay.
That's
It's
not
just
right.
not right. Yes, it's just not right. But then when we put the coin down and we know that there are two faces to the coin, we begin to ask ourselves, when does bullying stop and when does consent for sexual relations begin between couples? So I don't know.
I think it begins when they both have a mutual agreement. Okay, this is what we're going to do. But if one or the other says no, then it should be no.
Okay. So let your no be no and let your yes be yes, and let the couple agree on the mutual times and the non-mutual times. That is how I see it. Okay. Brother Ron, I see you're nodding your head. You're accepting or not accepting, agreeing with or not agreeing with the points we're raising here.
Yes, I agree with you and Sister Deborah. There has to be a mutual consent between the two adults, the married couple. If one person does not feel like having sex or engaging in any sexual activity, that person should respect the other person's wishes. Because if you have sex and the other person doesn't want it, it's like they have no sex with you grudgingly and they're not going to enjoy it. And it's almost something like a form of rape. But yes, I agree with the both of you. It should be a mutual consent.
Yes, there should be mutual consent. But when we go to places like in schools and in universities, I know last week we talked about sexually transmitted grades. We remember that in universities, in particular, especially on the continent, we had cases studied and proved right in Ghana and Nigeria, where university lecturers were trading grades for sexual favors. The BBC documented it. So when it becomes a situation of, oh, if I have to give you an A grade, you must give me that, the quid pro quo aspect of it. Do we see bullying in it? Is a professor or the lecturer in question bullying the student or just actually asking for something that is sexual harassment?
It's bullying and it's sexual harassment too. Well, it's sexual harassment if the student doesn't want it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I was still there to say it is a form of sexual harassment because the student is in a weaker position. Is not in a position of authority. The professor is in the position of authority. So the student may not have a choice. They may succumb, not because they want it, but because they think they need it. You know, so, and I'm glad you brought up that thing about a BBC documentary. We didn't even talk about it last week. Yeah, Dr. Santos was having some emergencies. Here he comes. He's gonna zoom in briefly. Dr. Nicholas Santos, our in-house psychologist, you know, but I think it is both sexual harassment and bullying, you know, and it is just a shame because, but then there are also, as far as bullying go, there are also some people who are bullies who are not necessarily in a position of power. There are some young bullies. There are some people who bully people, but they don't have position of power. You know, maybe they come from a popular family or a wealthy family, but not necessarily a position of power. But I'm curious, Dr. Santos is in. Dr. Santos, and yes, I want you to pose a question to Dr. Santos. Dr. Santos, thank you for pressing your way.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Dr. Santos. We know that you're having issues, but we have this show to make sure we put all the voices on tape. So please, Dr. Santos, tell us, what is sexual harassment? What is bullying? Where do we draw the line between the two?
And before Dr. Santos weigh in, I want to thank him. Dr. Santos, before you came, I had mentioned that you actually reminded us about this topic. So thank you. Over to you.
Good evening, fellow viewers of Africaonline. Good evening, the panelists. I am so sorry that there was an emergency today that took me to Delaware. I left West Virginia and I went to Delaware on an emergency. There was a very, very ravaging call that came in, and it involves sexual abuse of a minor of 14 years old. So I am on a psychological evaluation for some families pertaining to that, which coincidentally is our topic for today and the reason for which I am not in the program. I am joining from my car at the parking lot after doing the preliminary evaluation. I saw this message. Thank God I saw this message. I said, let me dial in and say that, and I am responding to an emergency, a 911 call. So when it comes to sexual harassment or sexual abuse, the line is so slim because harassment is a prelude to abuse. Abuse is the actual act, while harassment is some sort of seducing or some sort of beginning steps as a signal to abuse. But however, it has to deal with penetration, touching, and all other actions without consent. Although the law now says there is consensual abuse and there is no consensual, non-consensual. Consensual usually is unreported. Consensual usually is unreported, but non-consensual is reported. Then also it comes to most of the cases that has to do with minors or adults are typically unconsensual because people they presume that people take care of the vulnerability of others to commit this act. For example, minors are naive, especially teenagers. They are excited, reacting to their hormones at a certain time that they may go extra mile instead of the adult cautioning the minor to follow the normal norms of society of development, biological development, and respond to good behavior and wait for the time of maturity by showing devotion to actual relationship that is mature enough. Some of the adults take advantage of those minors because those are vulnerables. So likewise, some staff or people who work with adults at group homes and other places, or family members, distant relatives, usually take advantage of adults and minors. And we have discovered a lot going on. Some will use drugs. Some will use other methods of money when they are desperate, they need money, to influence them and to lure them. What about child prostitution? All those is child abuse and sexual abuse and harassment. So we have that, which is a very big problem in our society. And we have to keep sensitizing our community that this is a no-no, don't take advantage. People should go for their age groups. People should go for people who are mature. People should shun at adults who are vulnerable and people who teenagers and children, because that carries a very heavy penalty, which is imprisonment. And I don't think anyone would like to spend his or her life in prison, for things that could have been avoided. And then when it comes to bullying, bullying is a word that we use. Social media bullying, for example, is a word that we use applying to how the social media nowadays have gone crazy, that anyone does pick up his or her device, be it telephone or internet, and start screaming at another, or start framing lies on another, or recruiting other people to go online at a particular fixed time so that they can make videos about a particular person, some made up of cartoons and fake pictures coupled with lies, aimed at ridiculing that individual. When I went into the studies of bullying, I discovered that social media bullying has a lot of categories, or a lot of different aspects of it. There's one they call cyber stalking. Cyber stalking is whereby, for example, you may record someone with while the person is nude, with his or without the consent or her consent, and then you use the photograph or the nude video to hold that person as in captivity. For example, a cheating wife or a cheating husband, his or her partner will record and use this as a threat, either for ransom or to say, I will report you to your husband or your wife if you dare make a move to leave me. And many girls and men, husbands and wives, have been held in captivity to the extent that their homes are shattered. Some even pay ransom so that this news should not go out. This has become the ways that, most of the ways that some girls who are unmarried, the whole ransom or the whole hostage married people, and some men or young men who look at responsible women, they have held them hostage through having their nudes in videos. That is how we call that cyber stalking. We have gaming. Gaming is another one whereby people plan and go out at a particular time and doing streaming together. No. Gaming is another type whereby you ridicule someone just because the person has a future for fun. For example, somebody has a big head. You say, we're going to say he is called headmaster because of his big head. That's ridiculous. You never intended without any harm to do any harm on that individual. You just want to mock at his head or at his arm or at his leg without really causing any impact on him. Like you use it for fun. You play. When we're in school, somebody has a big head, we say he's called headmaster.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that's gaming. Then we have other ones like cyber streaming, where you people change your names, and at a particular time you have to appear on a video show online or an online streaming live show whereby people have changed their names into fake names. You may see we observed that during this politics in our country, especially Cameroon, during this ongoing conflict for 6 years, whereby there was the differences between the separatists, the unionists, and the federalists. One camp was attacking another, and people had to change their names so that they will not be recognized with their family members and their address and names. And they had to put different names. And you see people say Amber 1, Amber 2, Amber 3, Federalist 13, Federalist 14. These are real individuals who don't want to be identified. That's cyber streaming. We have another way of coining it in the cyber war literature. They call it cyber trolling. So we have different categories of the cyber warfare, which all boils to cyber harassment and cyber bullying. It's a long literature. I made a show about that. People can watch that from my wall. I think that's what interested Reverend Palm to bring me today. But unfortunately, I'm responding to a 911 call. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santos, for making the effort to join us on the program. I see our Chief Medical Officer is in the house, Dr. Ogoji. I believe he will unmute momentarily to join the conversation. So, Dr. Santos, Dr. Ogoji, as I ask the question, you proceed to unmute, except you are also on some emergency at this time. I know you're always in hospitals delivering babies. So we're talking bullying and sexual harassment, or sexual harassment and bullying. Personally, I see it as a coin with two sides. So I don't know what Dr. Ogoji has in mind about sexual harassment and bullying.
Well, for me, I would like to talk about sexual harassment as an unwanted request for sexual favor, unwelcomed comments or that's requesting sexual favor or sexual related comments or remarks to an employee in a place of work. So sexual harassment in place of work is not automatically criminal, but it can become criminal if the victim goes to court and proves that that has caused severe harm to him or her. But it's left to people, to the companies, the employers, to protect the employees from being sexually harassed by adopting what they call zero tolerance to sexual harassment in the workplace. But sexual assault is a different case. Sexual assault is a criminal. This can happen anywhere outside work, including having sex with a minor, pedophiles, including what Dr. Sancho just described, stalking, harassing, using nude photograph to hold people ransom. Those are different types of sexual assault. So what to be? Sexual harassment has to do with work. You want promotion, you give me sex. You want to work in this particular position, you give me sex. Or you start talking about just it has to do with work environment. The law talk about work environment and sexual activity in the work environment, because that is very, very dangerous for workers and dangerous for employees, for employers, because when an employee is sexually harassed, that employee cannot give his best at work. Imagine coming to work, you're afraid of what will happen. On the other side, we also have to be careful to talk about sexual harassment and sexual assault, because if you work for companies, they have laws. Nothing stops co-workers from dating, but it's a dangerous move. If you request, it doesn't work out, what happens? The other person will not be comfortable coming to work. Of course, if they start dating and things goes south, can they continue working? So to avoid sexual harassment in place of work, most employees will not employ partners or husband and wife in the same position, on the same company, and the same spot. And people who are sexually involved in relationship cannot have what they call supervisor-employee, supervisor-subordinate relationship. So if me and my wife want to work for a company, if the company has to make sure that my wife have a different office and has a different boss and not in the same place I'm working, and vice versa. So boyfriend, girlfriend, if you start dating, it's important to tell your employee, you know that I'm dating with somebody right now. They separate you guys from, so that they can be, you don't bring their sexual issues or relationship issues to at work. So it's a very dangerous thing. So I go to bullying. Bullying is a big one. That's very common nowadays. Olden days, people are being bullied at school, at work. But nowadays, bullying can take a form of physical bullying, emotional bullying, and social media bullying. Bullying is more common in schools, where one student will try to exert sort of supremacy against other students by making sure that that kid does not have peace. People get bullied for various things: their academic performance, their weight, their race, even their sexual orientation. You can be bullied for various things, even physical disability. Somebody with Down syndrome, always drooping, saliva on the mouth, can be bullied. Somebody with poor physical appearance, people say people don't look as good as others, people will be bullied for that. So bullying is another thing that has caused a lot of stress at work, at school, please, at school. So I tell my pediatric patient when they come to my office, or also as a bully, if you are being bullied at school, you have to make sure you let the teacher and your parents know. Of course, we know that middle school and high school is a very delicate place. So I tell my patients, you know, if a kid make fun of you at school, if it's a small thing, tell the kid, stop it and walk away, avoid that kid. But if it becomes persistent, that when you're leaving your house, going to school, you remember that kid in school, then your mom should know. Your mom should know, and the school should know. So those are two different things. So kids will have disagreement in school all the time, but is it a small thing? Talk to the person and fix it. If it become a persistent problem, then it's a big issue. You must let the people know. And even parents have to also take time, because one day I actually dropped one of my kids at school. As soon as I dropped her, she came out of the car and she's look at somebody and start running away. I said, come back, what's going on? Why are you running away from this person? And I said that, and this person was he was actually a vice principal of the school. And he or she told me that, you know, One day he came to her ear and whispered in her ear and said something that made her uncomfortable. She never told me. I have to observe that she doesn't want, she can't stand that man. I have to say, okay. I say, hello. What happened to my daughter? He said, Papa. I said, so and so day you did this. He said, well, I don't know what happened, but I didn't go further because, I mean, if you make somebody uncomfortable at work, it's harassment. If you make somebody uncomfortable at school, it's harassment. And once you draw the boundaries, that boundary should be respected right away. And if it's not respected, it becomes really, really a serious criminal issue that you can press charges and get the person committing the harassment or bullying get punished. So there's not a fine line between bullying and disagreement in school, or sexual harassment and joking at work. So you have to be very, very careful. Oh, I like the way you look. That's fine. Are you talking about the dressing or you talking about the look? Or I like the way your butt look. That's different. So comments at place of work, at school, if you make it the first time, you have to observe how did the person who the comment is directed to respond. Did she laugh? Did she take it as a joke? And that's why, or did she look surprised? Then you also know, and somebody says, stop it, you do it again and again, then it becomes harassment. Can we go for a cup of tea after work? Sure, I'll come for a cup of tea, a beer.
Yes.
Oh no, I won't come. You ask tomorrow. You ask every weekend. What are you doing this weekend? Want a coworker to come go have beer with you every weekend? It become harassment. One request and she says no, it's allowed. But persistent requests that when weekend comes, that employee says, oh no, who knows what Dr. Gojo asked me for this weekend? That becomes harassment. So you have to find a fine line between requests and harassment. Complimenting somebody's dressing or how good they look, and complimenting somebody to get a sexual flavor from that compliment, and to persist despite advice to discontinue, it becomes harassment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ogoje.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
How about somebody calling you some names that they think is either sexy or supposed to be a compliment? For example, brown sugar.
Again, what I would say, if somebody call me brown sugar, I would say, I don't like that name, don't call me that again. If you say it again and again and again, then you are looking for trouble.
Okay. Because sometimes they may think it's a compliment. I'm saying this because somebody called me that, and the person was Caucasian, but the person meant to say it was a compliment, you know. And to me, I'm not your brown sugar. I'm not even sugar. I don't eat sugar. So don't call me.
So basically, if you make somebody uncomfortable, the law between harassment and bullying and even domestic violence and even threats is, did that make the second person uncomfortable? If the answer is yes, and you do it again and again, and then there's trouble. In fact, I'll tell you this story. When I was moving from Rochester to Spokane, Rochester, New York, I went to the airport, I packed all my luggages. One of them was about 2 pounds above the weight limit. And I've already paid for 4 extra luggage. The person checking me said, well, you have to take out something. I got angry. I said, well, are you human? We're all humans. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want me to open my bag after paying you this amount of money for luggages and everything? She said, do you want to talk to the supervisor? I said, sure. Somebody came to me and said, call the employee that she's not human. That I said the employee is not human, that I'm making her uncomfortable. I said, oh, I didn't mean that. I just said we're all human. These laws are meant for people to keep them and bend them when there's need to. I can't pay for 4 extra luggage, and one of them is just 2 pounds above. You want me to take out some stuff from my luggage. I didn't mean she's not human, but she took it literally that I said she's not human. I make a big case out of it. Of course, I apologize. Oh, if you take it that way, I'm sorry. I won't do that again. But if I say, oh, she's not human, she's a beast, and this, then it becomes harassment.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Mind your language.
That's right. Yes. And that is very profound because different words said in different ways in different cultures mean different things. Reverend Pam, you remember you had a signal, you used your hand movement at an occasion, which meant one thing, but it was taken for another thing.
Let me
So,
say it. One of my
yes.
one of my employees, I'd asked her to pull a particular medication, a generic. It was taking her forever to find it. I told her, I said, oh, don't worry about it. And I said it with my hands. Sorry, I'm not showing my camera. You know, back when we speak and if you say, don't worry about it, you just shake your hands, you know, like your palms, don't worry about it. Do you know, for 2 weeks, she was in hell, just grieving over, she thought I said talk to the hands, which I did not even know what that meant. This was a few years ago. So it was one of the employees came and told me after 2 weeks. I called her into my office. I said, what's wrong with you? I said, you suffer for 2 weeks for no reason. I said, why? I said, I don't even know what talk to the hands mean. I said, all I was telling her, I said, it was taking you too long to find the medication. I said, don't worry about it. So I was trying to put you out of your misery, trying to find this drug. I said, don't worry about it. You know, and you thought I said I meant talk to the hands. I said, baby, I'm not a teenager. I don't even know what talk to the hands mean. Until now, I didn't even know. So she felt really ridiculous. I said, next time, don't do that. I said, if I say something, she was of Hispanic descent.
Background.
Yeah, background, but she grew up here. And she was a millennial. And I'm like, I'm not a teenager. I don't even know what talk to the hands mean. Why would I even do that? You know, so these are just, you know, diversity issues that we have to contend with. We have 3 minutes. Let's hear from Dr. Tam Mata before we go to the top of the hour. Dr. Ta, any comment on what Dr. Goji said or myself? Are you there?
Yes, I was very happy when he talked of some sexually harassing behaviors at the workplace. Because there are some workplace conduct that people take for granted. Things like unwanted kissing, touching of breasts or genitals, butt slapping especially, which is common. And other forms of sexual assault, where you are requesting for sexual favor, making sexually explicit comments, uninvited messages, sexually suggestive gestures, or cat calls. Those are things that are very common at the workplace. And sometimes just because maybe it's your boss or a superior doing that, you don't even want to humiliate the person, you just take it normal.
Please humiliate them. Please humiliate them. Let me say this. I will jump in here. I have a couple of minutes before the top of the hour. We went on a trip, you know, and it was overseas. And this guy used to run a major airline to the country. And he has a PhD and girls used to flock over him. So when we got there, he came and he greeted us. I was the only lady, as you know, most of the time, either I'm the only Black or the only female in the boardroom. And he came and greeted me. And you know how sometimes people greet you and they put their face next to your cheek or whatever. You know, first of all, I have my zone of privacy. It's not everybody that I want coming in near my zone of privacy. You can shake my hands or whatever. But then he proceeded to give me a peck on the cheek. I was so offended, I went into the restroom and washed my face and reapplied my makeup. And then that evening, I told the head of the delegation, the person that took us there to that country, and I told him, this is what this person did. Please advise him never to ever do that again. He can shake my hands. I don't want his saliva on my cheek. So this person told him, and the guy did not understand what he did wrong. He did not see why he should apologize to me because he thought he was being courteous or being friendly. But don't be friendly with me and put your lips on my cheek. That cheek doesn't belong to you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, I was the only female there. I was not intimidated, but it was an awkward moment because we were there for a major business meeting, and I did not want that business to fall apart because of one person's mistake. But what I don't understand is it took him a long time to apologize. The fact that he did not mean to offend me does not mean that an apology was not warranted. In your opinion, maybe you have done it to a lot of women and it was okay with them. Baby, it's not okay with me. My skin does not belong to you. It belongs to somebody special, but not you. Don't put your lip on my cheek. I know some people like it. Last time I said this about Lisa, I was like, oh, she likes that. I don't want it. Shake my hands. You know, shake my hands. It's not everybody that I like to hug also. I mean, as a servant of God, I don't have any choice. If it's a ministry or whatever, I hug people. But in a business meeting, you don't have to hug me. You can shake my hands. Anyway, in this day,
we're getting to the top of the hour.
Shake hands.
Yeah, we're getting to the top of the hour, and take a breather, take a cup of coffee, as Dr. Ogoji recommended a while ago, and the conversation continues after our song.
Dr. Ogoji recommended coffee?
Well, he was just using that as a beginning of a sentence, the beginning of a sentence.
Oh, okay.
When somebody repeatedly invites you for coffee or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me play the anthem.
Africa. Oh, no. Africans, Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africaonline Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does. To identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. education for everyone if we believe. Prosperity for Africans if we believe. Medical facilitation for Africans if we believe. Stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Jump on the Africaonline miracle jet, don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed, together we will win. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. We are writing our own story, the truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies, Africans own Africa.
No more lies, Africans own Africa. That is our anthem. We own full rights to that song. And I am going to, before I announce the next topic, I'm going to, well, next week we're going to be doing a sequel to this topic. We're going to be talking about the psychological impact of sexual harassment and bullying. And Dr. Santos will be here next week. I invite everybody, including Dr. Ta Akomasha, to Zoom in. And of course, Dr. Oguji is always here. And we have, our sister organization have their 3rd annual summit and charity ball coming to Atlanta. I am currently in Atlanta. We are almost done with the planning, just a few logistic issues here. So by the time I leave here, everything will be set. It's going to be at the Atlanta Airport Marriott, 4711 Best Road, Atlanta, Georgia. And as you can see, the schedule, this flyer is being redone by a PR company. So it's going to look much better than this. We have 14 speakers. So these are not all the speakers. We have 14 speakers. We have 5 speakers at the academic symposium in the morning from 8 to 12. We are going to have students from Morehouse, Clark Atlanta University, faculty from Morris Brown University. These are HBCUs in Atlanta. They'll be there. And because they are the future, so they need to be at the academic symposium. We are not charging the students, but we need somebody to sponsor them because the meals are not free. And we're gonna have an elaborate red carpet from 5:30 to 6:50. The summit starts exactly at 7. And then we're gonna have a sumptuous dinner. We have poultry, beef, and fish, all in one meal. So it's gonna be, I mean, sumptuous, amazing. And then we're going to, of course, dance. DJ Skipper is gonna give us live music. They call him the Goldfinger because he is unmatched on the keyboard. And he plays music of all genre. And of course, we're gonna have comedian Shay Brown, who does clean, immaculate comedy. He will also co-MC. Our board is moderating the event, and we have 3 of our academic professors moderating the academic symposium. So this event is very important. So we are hands-on. As you can see at the top right, left-hand corner, or your right, the most famous African actor, who also happens to be an attorney, is gonna be here. He's flying in from Lagos directly for this event. We haven't even put this thing out there, but the vibration is already being felt in Atlanta. The guy who discovered Stevie Wonder, Sir William Mickey Stevenson, Motown first A&R man will be there. He's actually composed a song for this event. That's how important it is. So we have several other people. I'm not going to go into it. The tickets are open. Go to africasbrainbank.org and purchase your tickets. This is a must attend. The ticket is only $125. That only covers the meals, the dinner and breakfast. Doesn't even pay for the event. So we need sponsors. All the businesses that Black people shop at, they need to sponsor this. All Black celebrities need to sponsor this. All Black businesses need to sponsor this. We also have advertisements. That's not on this flyer. You can advertise your business card for $125. You can beat that. You know, so all that stuff will be published, updated on our website. This is a must attend, October the 8th. On the 9th, we're going to have a billionaire breakfast brunch for our sponsors and our speakers. Again, it's a must attend. Come, and the theme for this year is We Are One. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm in Atlanta right now. And when I leave, I'll come back like 3 weeks before the event. I already talked about what we're going to be talking about next week. So Nia, so I'm going to hand over to you to continue this week's topic.
Thank you very much. And continuing the topic, we're going to see, is Dr. Tasti with us? Yes. Let us look at bullying in your own part of the world where you are. No, bullying is not just a school affair. It happens even in the community. What is your experience with bullying back in the land where you live?
Well, as a teacher, I have got too many complaints from students and even experiences in class. Sometimes the students who are victims don't even see the gravity of it. So, but we make them to understand, especially those big boys, those who sit behind the class. They make the class very uncomfortable for those who are younger. Since in the class all of them don't have the same ages. You could get into, let's say, a Form 3 class and have boys who are about 21. And they have also boys who are just 11 or 12. So they shut them up. They ensure that the younger ones, they are like kings. You know, they control the class. They give them money to buy stuff for them. They even ask them to do tasks for them. I've seen a student go out to wipe the shoes of another student. The student came in during the rainy season with the muddy shoes and gave the younger classmate to go and wipe. And the young boy was happy doing that. I said, it's not correct. And when you call for him, it was a very big problem. He did not say anything wrong he said, it's my younger brother, I should do that. To him, it's no problem. But if the younger student refused to wipe those shoes, he would have been in trouble. In class. So we have those type of experiences even at home. You have children who bully their siblings. As I was saying, you have students who, especially if you have a daughter who is a student who has to pass by a garage or any workshop, the boys they will tell you their experiences with whistling, cat calls, name calling. Sometimes they could give you any name. We have students complain about that. But I am very happy with this topic because if they are listening, then somebody will do that. If it continues, they have to take action against that because you cannot be very uncomfortable moving on the road. That is abuse of your rights. That is abuse of your human rights. Like them, you have a right to feel free in your country. You should not be harassed at any time. I'm just praying that they should be listening to this, and even those who are perpetrators of these acts to know that it is punishable, and that is an abuse.
Yes, indeed it is. Because if in the United States where I live at the moment, each school has a school policy, students' rights and responsibilities. And from first grade to 12th grade, students know what is expected of them and what they expect of the school system. So bullying and harassment are no-go areas in the school system out here. Sister Deborah, I know you are still with us. Your take on sexual harassment and bullying.
I think she got knocked off.
Oh yeah, that's right. She got knocked off. Let me see, Dr. Dr. Ogoji, I see you're still in the house. Yes, sexual harassment and bullying. You've said a lot, but you still have more, I believe, to say on the topic. If not, okay, Dr. Ogoji, here he comes. Yes, so sexual harassment, bullying, sides of the same coin. What should we do to make our society better without those two things?
The first thing is education. People should be taught and educated to speak up when they're made uncomfortable. So if something makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to. So, and in as much as you don't react to every uncomfortable situation with you don't overreact, but important for you to set the record straight. You see what you just said? I don't like it. You know, oh, you touched my hair, I don't like it. I don't like this hug. So again, the definition says that when it's a persistent request after denial of sexual favor or making sexual comments, or of course, there are things that are, so those fine soft ones, people should speak up and say, I don't want it. And if you persist, please speak up, because the law of the, especially in the US, most companies adopt what they call zero tolerance to sexual harassment at work. If you speak up, there's a law of the country, and the employee and the employer will make sure that you are protected, and the person harassing you should be punished. In the company where I work, if somebody accuses you of sexual harassment, you are leaving the company right away. And then if the victim feels like that's not enough, he cannot go further and press charges to charge for criminal, to charge the guy criminally for harassing him or her. That's one. Of course, some things are no. If somebody showed a nude picture in a place of work, you don't have to stop. You just say, we say stop it, you report right away. So there's fine sexual harassment, you can try to correct, and if you become persistent, you report. Gross misconduct. Somebody show a nude picture of himself or herself, uninvited, or even a nude picture of somebody without you soliciting for that at work, that's a no. Speak up and speak up and speak up. That's one thing. Of course, each employer should, if you go to the bathrooms now in the hospitals and clinics, they will say, do you feel comfortable in your relationship? Do you feel bullied by your partner? Do you feel that you have to mind what you say? Do you feel that you have to be, do you take blame for everything that goes wrong? If yes, you're a victim of domestic violence, please call. Trust me, we all feel that way. But if it becomes a persistent, recurrent thought in your mind every day that before you open your mouth and talk to your partner, you're a victim of domestic violence. So certainly, do you feel safe coming at work? Do you feel your job is adequately protected? Is your supervisor related with you very well? Is he asking you to come out for a dinner or so things like that? So find subtle signs. People should know that this is not normal. Stop them before they become persistent. On the other hand, in as much as if you encourage people to say things to you that you don't like, they'll assume it's okay. And when they assume it's okay, when you tell them to stop it, then they will say, well, you've been saying the same thing. So don't start something you cannot continue. On the other side, if you're a supervisor or an employer, you should know boundaries. If somebody comes to your office, it should purely, what happened to this client? What's going on? again, we always talk about sexual harassment. In fact, one of my patients has been harassing my staff all the time. So even the clients can harass the customers, can sexually harass the employee. That again should not be allowed. If a customer comes to the office to buy something for you or to seek services, first you come about your employees' hairdo or the way they look. Don't get me wrong, you know. Personally, if I walked in an office where there's a lady and I want a favor, I say, oh, I like your hair. When I like her hair, complete her hair dressing, I always get my way. That's true. But if you say that every time you go and you say, I don't like that, then it becomes harassment. So they find line about complimentary and harassment. So we have to be careful. That's all I will say about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hang on with your last word. Start preparing your last word. We'll be coming around. Brother Ronald, what are some of the thoughts you have about how we can help our community, our society, improve on bullying and sexual harassment?
I think first we should respect each other as individuals and know that not everyone think and act alike. And once we know that, then if a person disagrees with you about a particular issue or something you said, you respect that person and don't do it again. But other than that, I think that what we can do is still upkeep the laws of the land that's against sexual harassment and bullying. I think those two things are very important, and I respect those laws and policies.
Thank you very much. Reverend Palmer, are you still with us to say something about what we should do to our community to make it better?
Yes. First of all, Dr. Ogodi, I hope those ladies that you flatter don't get to see this show, because now when you go there, you won't get your way. They will know that all those compliments you were giving them were flatteries. And, you know, this topic really, Dr. Ogodi is cracking up. This topic goes beyond, I think Dr. Mata, I had stepped away briefly. I think she touched on this thing in secondary school.
She did.
In Cameroon, they used to call it cutting tail. They cut your tail, foxes. That is a form of bullying, what the senior students would do. And Dr. Ogodi had told us a story about some guy that used to take his lunch money. Dr. Ogodi, was that you? Was that in secondary school or primary school? Your audio is not on.
No, that was primary school. Can you hear me now? Primary school.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy's name is Willie. I'll never forget him. Willie took all my money for 5 years in a row.
Why do you know where he is now? Maybe you should find him on social media and bring him on this show.
Maybe I'll look. I can't remember his last name, but I think I'll look for him. I can.
I mean, can you imagine how many students went through that? Other people bullying them, taking their money. What he was doing was stealing on top of bullying by taking your lunch money. The money didn't belong to him. You know, so I just want to say for any young person who is a victim of bullying or sexual harassment, say something. There is help. You can go on the internet and search for helplines in your country. For those perpetrators, you don't have to do that. Because when you bully somebody, you are actually a coward. Whatever void you have in your life, seek help. If you are one of those people who did not have a loving childhood, whose parents did not show you love, and you find yourself ending up as the president of a country, you still have that bad habit of bullying people because you think, because of what happened, Dr. Ogodi is laughing. I didn't call anybody's name. I'm just saying it will not go away. No matter where you end up in the world, it will not go away. So seek help. So let me hand over to you to do the last round.
Yes, and I'm going to go across the ocean to Dr. Tab back in Africa. Please, your last word as we wrap up on the program, sexual harassment and bullying. Over to you now.
Yes, thank you, Nia Song. All this boils down to sensitization and education. And also the background in which we grew up has a lot to play. Sometimes you have situations that you can take to the police, and the police will ask you that just simple touch and that what has changed in you. Come on, go and look for something better to do. You see, sometimes you even take the child there, that this child is sexually harassed, and the police will easily continue with the harassment there and teach this child better ways to escape. So it has to do with the background that of the person, especially. But abroad, it's not the same story. In the US, it will not be the same thing. If it is reported, they have helplines. So there's need to sensitize our children, sensitize our relatives, the community, and what they should know, where the line ends, where we find bullying, where there's harassment, and let people know that they have to report, because it is a rights violation, it's an abuse. They should not be afraid. And the government should also make it possible for people to be punished when they report. Because if you go and report someone and the next day the person goes and gives money, 500 francs, and you find the person on the street, it doesn't make any sense. Let they also be taught in school. The students, the children be taught in schools that nobody has to touch you inappropriately. Nobody has a right to make you feel intimidated, because there are children who have left school because of bullies. There are children who have refused to come to school because they have been bullied, and they are afraid of those big boys in class, or even big girls who bully them, who make them hate to come to school, hate school. And they even sometimes they come to school and stay behind the classroom. They're afraid to enter because the bully had promised to deal with them. So they need to educate them, to sensitize, and spell out those boundaries. Let them be free to report such cases, even to the administrators in school. And then the administrators will also take action. Because if one or two students are seriously punished, the others will sit up. They'll sit up. Really mass dismissals, they are dismissed. Others will be afraid to venture. Thank you, Niasto.
Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you next week. Always be with us. We'll be talking about the psychological impact of sexual harassment and bullying. Brother Ronald, your last word.
My last word is that we need to learn to respect each other and accept each other's differences. And also, we should support the laws of the land that are against sexual harassment and bullying. Those are my last words.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ogoji. Your last words.
All I would
without
say
telling anybody that they have a nice butt.
All I will say here is for those in position of authority, before you say things to your employee, try to put yourself in the shoe of that employee. Do not give room to be accused of sexual harassment before proving yourself wrong. Because trust me, when the going is not going right, especially if you ever made a comment against one of the female employee, anything you do contrary to her wish, she assume because of that comment you harassed her. So don't give that room for it to occur. For the school and students, I always tell again, people should learn to speak up because trust me, middle school, high school is terrible. If you report everybody that harasses you in school, it becomes they give you a name and somebody reports too much. So try and avoid the bullies if you can. But if it becomes persistent that you don't want to come to school, then you should let your parents and teacher know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Pan.
Give me a minute. Sorry, the dog was barking. Yeah. You know, what Dr. Tam Ako was saying was very important because, as she said, some of these victims, when they go to the police themselves undermine the crime against them. It's a cultural mindset that needs to be changed. And it also needs to start from the home. Mothers need to train their boys to respect women. And some of these children grow up in homes where the father did not respect the mother. They think it's okay to treat women as second-class citizens. Not anymore, dear. Those days are long gone. So we need to educate the community, the children from home, in school, in churches. It's education, education, education. And we need to change that cultural mindset. You know, so again, if you have been a victim, say something. If you are the perpetrator, today is a good day to stop. Thank you very much, Niason.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all of us who are here today. Sister Deborah got knocked off by the system. Okay, we had Dr. Tarmata from Africa. And then, of course, we had the rest of us here, Dr. Goji, Brother Ronald, and our chair, Reverend Palm, and myself, Asonglefac Nkemleke. And please let us make it a date for next week. But remember, if you see it, report it. If you feel it, report it. Let parents and teachers, especially in schools, working for the students, do their best to report bullying. And of course, if you are the man there in the office, please avoid over complimenting your colleague who is female or who is the other sex, because you may be misunderstood. Okay, Reverend Pam, the ball is over to you now to wrap up at your own end. Are we done?
Yes, we are done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And see you all next Sunday.
Thanks.
Thank you.